Tell him. You ready? Meeting come to order, please. Roll call. If you press your present button, please. Record it. Thank you. Staff announcements.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I only have two. Item 26, which is, I believe, establishment of a landscaping bond for South Creek Rural Retreat, has been withdrawn. And item 23, you will find in front of you a revised staff report. Other than that's all the announcements I have.
Thank you. Consideration of the minutes of April, what am I looking at? April 17. Any corrections? 13, excuse me. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. The consent agenda. Any commissioner wishing to pull an item on consent for separate discussion, please say so now. Otherwise, we'll take it as a whole. Anyone? I hear none. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin with item 2. Arrington Retreat, Section 2, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $225,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 4, Arrington Retreat, Section 3, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $175,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 5, Curry Ingram Academy, performance bond for wastewater treatment system, $90,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 6, Delta Springs, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, erosion control, $125,000. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 7, Farms at Clovercroft wastewater area, performance bond for landscaping, $64,350. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 8, Farms at Clovercroft Section 2, performance bond for water, $85,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $12,750 and extend for a period of 1 year. Item 9, Farms at Clovercroft, Section 2, performance bond for wastewater collection system, $112,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $33,600 and extend for a period of 2 years. Item 10, Farms at Clovercroft, Section 2, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $300,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 11, Grace Chapel parking lot, maintenance bond for landscaping, $7,260. Recommendation, release the bond. Item 12, Hart's Landmark performance bond for landscaping, $110,600. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 6 months or require completion or the bond could be called. Item 13, Hart's Landmark maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $300,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 14, Hart's Landmark performance bond for sewer, $85,970. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 15, Kings Chapel Section 4B maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $120,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 16, Kings Chapel Section 6 performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $220,000. Recommendation, convert to maintenance in the amount of $135,000 and extend for a period of 1 year. Item 17, On-Track Studios maintenance bond for landscaping, $9,620. Recommendation, to release the bond. Item 18, Silverstream Farm, Section 4C, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $25,000. Recommendation, to release the bond. Item 19, Bell Creek, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $200,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. And dropping down to item 24, Final Plats. Final plat review for Arrington Retreat, Section 5, containing 35 lots and 49 acres located off Nolensville Road in the 5th Voting District. Staff recommends approval of the final plat with the following stipulations. 1, the posting of performance bond in the amount of $580,000 for roads, drainage, and erosion control. 2, the posting of performance bond in the amount of $85,000 for water improvements as specified by Nolensville College Grove Utility District. 3, the posting of performance bond in the amount of $125,300 for wastewater collection system. 4, the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. 5, execution of a stormwater maintenance and agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And 6, that the applicant provide 2 copies of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plane Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Any questions on consent? Comments? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. That concludes consent. Next item's item 20 under old business is final plat review for the Lampley property, large lot easement subdivision, 4th lot off easement containing 1 lot on 5 acres located off Knowlesville Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project was deferred to this meeting at the April 2017 meeting due to questions regarding access-related issues, which were still being evaluated. Additional review of those issues has resulted in the conclusion that the proposed access via the applicable ingress-egress easement is acceptable and meets county regulations. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create 1 lot, which will be the 4th lot off said existing easement. The property in question is 5 acres in size and is located off Nolensville Road, approximately 3/4 of a mile north of Osborne Road. The site slopes steadily upward from the northeast to the southwest, and approximately 35% of the property is covered by tree canopy. All zoning ordinance requirements, including those related to the protection of natural resources, have been met. The applicant is proposing an individual septic system for the lot, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request. Water will be provided by Nolensville College Grove Utility District, as no fire hydrants are proposed and as none are currently located within 500 feet of the building envelope. The building envelope has been located at least 200 feet from all surrounding building envelopes and dwellings. The plat is in order and staff recommends approval. And one additional item, there is some correspondence in front of you regarding this item.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Questions on item 20? Comments? Thoughts? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? I see none. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 21. Agenda item 21 is a public hearing. For those of you in our audience, our procedures are as follows. I will open public hearing for discussion of that agenda item and that agenda item only. You'll be invited, according to the sign-up list, to come to the podium and give us your comments. We'll have a staff report. It's a concept plan review for Arrington Ridge containing 88 lots on 128 acres located off Cox Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting concept plan approval for this 88-lot conservation subdivision in the RD1 zoning district. The review of a concept plan is the first stage in the development approval process. Because the concept plan contains more than 49 lots, it must be reviewed by this body at a public hearing. The subject properties total approximately 128 acres and are located at the crossing of I-840 and Cox Road. I-840 bisects the properties. The property is relatively flat, although portions of the site are covered by natural resources, including the floodplain associated with Nelson Creek, steep slopes, and woodlands. Approximately 25% of the site is covered in tree canopy. The proposed development consists of 88 lots, which range in size from 14,000 to 16,000 square feet. The overall density is 0.69 dwelling units per acre. 61% of the site will be preserved in open space. Access to the proposed development will be provided by 2 entrances from Cox Road, which is classified as a collector-level roadway by the Major Thoroughfare Plan. The northern entrance will feed directly into Cox Road, and the southern entrance will be an extension of Trockin Way, a service road that parallels I-840. TDOT has granted approval to use the access road. The County Highway Department has reviewed the northern entrance and has determined that there is adequate site distance. The traffic shed analysis performed by the applicant indicates that the proposed number of lots is within acceptable limits based on the capacity of the existing roadways. The applicant submitted a turn lane analysis which indicated a southbound left turn lane should be constructed on Cox Road at the northern access. This lane should also include at least 100 feet of storage and should be designed according to AASHTO standards. Within the development, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to locate sidewalks outside the right-of-way and design the speed of 25 miles per hour for internal roadways. Staff is in support of these requests. Water service will be provided by Millcrofton Utility District, and wastewater will be handled via a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system. The site plan for the system was approved by this body at the March 2017 meeting. Staff recommends approval of this concept plan along with a request for a 40-foot right-of-way width and a design speed of 25 miles per hour within the subdivision. It should be noted that once detailed construction and engineering plans are prepared in conjunction with the submittal of a preliminary plat, changes to the layout, including the potential for the reduction of lots, may be necessary. A number of items must be addressed with future submittals. The preliminary plat must address the following: submission of roads, drainage, and erosion control plans for review and approval by the county engineer. Such would include turn lane improvements on Cox Road. Such turn lane improvements on Cox Road must be approved by the Highway Commission prior to preliminary plat submittal. Submission of water plans for review and approval by Millcrofton Utility District, and submission of applicable construction plans for the required wastewater disposal facilities to TDEC, the county's consultant, and staff. The final plat must address the following. Prior to the submittal of the final plat, turn lane improvements on Cox Road must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. Prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to the issuance of zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following: a letter from TDEC indicating that said treatment system was installed and is functioning, as-built drawings showing the location of all treatment system components, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said treatment system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specification. A letter from the owner and utility provider indicating that accepted said treatment system is currently operating same. The posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,000 for said treatment system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant, and the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $50,600 for landscaping improvements. Prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents recorded concurrent with the recording of the final plat. Establishment of a bond performance for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater treatment collection system. Submission of landscaping plans and establishment of performance bond for landscaping. Execution of stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements, and the submission of an approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of plat.
And we'll open the floor for public hearing at this time. LaCosta Tucker, did I get that right?
Yes, I am LaCosta Tucker, and it's such a nice pleasure to be here with all of you today. I'm here on behalf of my family, who I have in the back here, and they, I know, would like to talk to. I live at 6286 Cox Road, right next to this proposed property development. And we're here basically just to, we think it's too close. We got a lot of dislikes about it because we think we have the most beautiful place that's been untouched for so long. And we'd like to keep it that way. And we'd like to not be surrounded with so many houses. Why do we have to put so many houses in such a short little span of space? And I have a handsome man here that knows all about building houses and stuff. And I would like to invite him.
One at a time.
Well, I'm just, I've not done this in a long time. I would like to see it moved back, the boundary where they have it, all the houses to the south of us. It's going to be like 45 feet from where they start building the first house, where it touches our boundary. So it's quite close. And I'm just concerned, you know, I want to keep it nice because we have our own little dreams of making it beautiful and maybe building someday on it. And we'd like to not be clustered around so many homes. We've got Black Hawk to our north, and their value is a whole lot higher than the one that's going to be built. So we're trying to watch out for, the cost of houses. And I'd just like to introduce Dan Michael, because he's got more to say about it, and technically than I do. He's more experienced. He's built houses. He's done lots of development. Go ahead.
3 minutes.
Okay, am I done?
I'll let you go 2 over, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I
Thank
hope
you.
you'll take it into consideration.
Thank you, Board. My name is Dan Michael. Is there a time limit, did I hear you say?
Yes, sir, there's 3 minutes. It says that on the form you signed.
Okay. I picked up a copy of this plan and I've reviewed it. And there are 6 lots within 45 feet of our side fencing to the back of the home to our property line. I would like to ask if those could be moved farther away from the fence than 45 feet to the back of the house. To me, that seems very close to our property. We have horses, we have cows, and sometimes we have bulls that we would not like to interfere with some of the kids that's going to be riding up and down with their bicycles. I'd also like to ask to have a 6-foot privacy fence installed along the property line that adjoins the Tucker's property also. A privacy fence would give us a little more privacy. The fence that's there now is just a woven wire, barbed wire fence in most of the areas with T-bar fencing. The roads that I see encompassing this project shows open areas, and I think those roads could be moved in such a manner, as they said once, and I've heard already, 200 feet. I would like to see 200 feet between the fence if that's going to be there. I don't know what size of the houses or what the sales price of these homes are, but I know it's going to compensate whatever we have as far as the comps go in that area. I have nothing to say about that, but I would like to address those issues to the members of the board, please.
Okay, thank you. Is that all?
That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Evans, are you the one that called me about the Lampley property? Yes, sir. Did I not tell you that you didn't have a public hearing on that? Did I not tell you that the Lampley property was not a public hearing? Yes, you did. Why did you sign up? I just signed up. Okay, thank you. Tanya
Yes.
Tucker.
Hi, I'm Tanya Tucker, and yes, my dad purchased this land 15 years ago, and we got this land because we wanted to be away from people. We wanted to be out in the country. We wanted to enjoy what the country has to offer for us, and that's what we wanted. And now we've got people within 45 feet of our property, and our my parents lived there for 15 years, and it's a beautiful piece of property. We love it, and we'd like to keep it like it is. It's just too close for comfort. And I understand, I'm looking at the plans, and it just seems like to me they could move the road over a little more and move the houses over a little more, so we're not right next to these houses. And it seems like 45 feet is awfully close. That's my beef, is that, we bought this property to kind of get out in the country and be away from people, and now here they come. So that's my main problem. And of course, the house is a beautiful home. It's a mansion. I mean, it's a dream home, and we'd like to keep the cost of the houses up and have beautiful homes around there. If we're going to have any homes, we had plans maybe, and that's why we haven't sold it, is because we wanted to wait until it came a time when we could have some homes on there in 5-acre lots that people could have some really beautiful homes, at least $1 million or maybe up to $5 million homes. And that's what my plan was for that property. When we got older and didn't want to take care of it, it's a lot to take care of, and my sister's been taking care of it ever since my parents died. So that's my problem. Is we bought it to be out in the country and enjoy what the country has, and now there's going to be people right next to us, and we won't be able to walk out of our house without seeing somebody. So that's my thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Grayson Tucker?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My family has said pretty much, everything they've said I agree with. And I was going to see if I could give my time to Ms. Prothro, if that would be okay with you.
You can swap.
Thank you, sir.
Down to 2.5 minutes, so.
Oh, I'll do my best. I had a couple questions. Can I do questions?
Well, it depends.
The 6.9 houses per acre, what was that number in the, how many homes per acre?
It, 0.69, I'm sorry,
Oh.
0.69 dwelling units per acre.
0.6,
A little
okay,
over
there's a
half
big
of one
difference
per
there.
acre.
Yeah.
So, my name is Laurel Prothro. I live on Patton Road. I'm here not to be anti-development. We're in this time and age, and in Williamson County, that's just what's going on. I do believe that it is really important as these developers come in, and they're not always local developers, such incredible impact happens to the roads there. So this one development really isn't just one development. Right across the street from it is another 108 acres that's up for sale right now. La Costa's, the Tucker property is just north of there. It's a 2-lane road where I believe it's a 50-mile-an-hour road. What we're seeing already, you have impact of Arrington, you've got Triune, you've got College Grove. Jobs are people from other counties, Marshall County, Maury, Lewisburg, coming through Horton Highway to get to Franklin where they're working. It's causing enormous impact. The thing about this area, which is very special, there is so much family history there, and the Tuckers are a big part of that. You have Hideaway, which was the original Tucker farm. This was really a huge impact, 480 homes coming down the pike. You've got the development, like I said, across the street. That's another 108 acres. And the reality is you've got state roads and county roads all working, they work separate from each other. We have big city traffic that's already happening. There's safety issues. Part of the beautiful thing about Williamson County, which we can all agree, agritourism is this multi-million-dollar industry that's happening and growing, and Tennessee is investing greatly in it. It's really a important part of how we sell ourselves as a community. The Vineyard has done an enormous job in creating an anchor for that community. It's a top state tourist attraction. You're constantly getting more and more people coming out there. So part of the beauty of that is I guess my big...
Give us your conclusion.
Yeah, well, my conclusion is I think that this concept needs to be taken into consideration, and you all need, and I'm a very bad speaker, but bear with me here.
You're doing fine.
I think that it's important to realize there's bicyclists, there's farmers. The farmers need to be protected on tractors. There's other ag land there. The Delvin property has just opened up as a pick-your-own and a location for their CSA farm. That's a fantastic thing. So, but I think I think there's a lot of things to take pause to think about in terms of getting the roads to where they can handle the impact before we put in all these developments that are in the 80 to 100, 200 homes. It's just creating a great deal of congestion and safety issues.
Thank you.
And where was the wastewater plan for that? Where's that going?
Who can answer that?
That's going on the south side of 840 off of the access road from Cox Road.
So in that back, in the big field. And does that have the access onto Patton Road?
No, it does not.
There is a small section of land on Patton Road that is adjacent to or a part of it. Is that correct?
It is a part of the property, that is correct.
What are the plans for that?
There are no plans for it.
Is
It will
it,
just remain an open space.
and is there any plans for green space or that type of thing within this concept? What type of development, who is developing it? Who's putting the homes in?
That's not germane to
Oh,
this.
okay. But I guess that's the thing, is the wondering what type of, if they have made accommodations for green space or any,
It's a conservation subdivision, so yes, they have
Oh,
made
it is.
provisions
Oh.
for the open space.
oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public hearing. We'll close the public hearing at this time. Commissioners, comments, thoughts? Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Commissioner, there is an access road that on the plan in front of you is labeled as Trocken Way. That they are accessing by the access road that was built by TDOT when 840 was built to access this property.
One that parallels 840?
Yes, sir, that's correct. It was built to county standards and
That answer your question? Karen, I've got a question. I thought our screening of these conservation subdivisions in rural areas limited the distance from the proposed development to the contiguous sites. Is that not the case? They said 45 feet. I'll ask, first of all, is that correct?
So are you referring to against the adjoining properties?
Yes.
There are buffer requirements. The engineer has shown us the buffer requirements and that they have been met. And
What are
so
they?
there's a sliver of open space.
How far are they from the property line to the house? To
Just
the envelope of the house?
Just eyeballing it, Mr. Chairman, it looks to be maybe 60 feet, give or take.
And what are the screens going to be?
The landscape buffer that the engineer has shown us is the 15-foot landscape buffer. And so during final plat approval, they will submit to us a landscaping plan subject to meeting the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Jack? Don?
I just wanted to clarify what you just said, Mr. Chairman. From the property line to the building envelope is how many feet?
It looks, just eyeballing it, I don't have a scale, it looks to be about 60 feet. It may be less than that. I'm just eyeballing it. So I'm just throwing out a round number. It doesn't look to be less than 45 to the building envelope. Perhaps to the property line, but not to the building envelope.
What is required in our ordinance from?
There's not a requirement that it be so many feet away from the property line. There's a minimum buffer requirement, and that is what the engineer has given us, plus a sliver of open space between the adjoining property and the new property lines for the internal lots.
Did you just tell me we don't have a rear yard setback?
We have a rear yard setback, but Mr. Crohan asked about a minimum distance for the new lot lines.
All right, what's the rear yard setback?
The rear yard setback on this one would be 30 feet to the new property line.
Wow.
They were correct. That's not enough.
So on the plan, you'll see on the plan, there's the buffer, there's the minimum buffer, and then there's a sliver of open space, then there's the new property line for the internal lots. So there's a sliver, there's the required landscaping buffer, a sliver of open space that is required, and then the new lot line.
So just,
Basically, it comes down to the 45 feet that they're telling us.
it comes out to be maybe 45 feet to the property line. To the building envelope, it's more than that. And so just eyeballing it, without a scale, it looks to be about 60 feet.
I've got one. Thank you. Please don't do that, okay?
Mr. Chairman, perhaps we would like to call the applicant up here and have him answer the questions for us.
The applicant here?
Mr. House with SEC for the applicant. Along that line, it is that the back of the property lines for the lots themselves, but right up to the 15-foot landscape buffer. So he's correct. The building setback lines is 45 feet.
How many houses is that?
6.
Out of?
On that side, 76.
You can't improve that layout some to move them away?
We shifted just a little bit, but I mean, we're trying to save, so we minimize as much cut and fill as we have up there to keep it as close as possible without having to disturb so much land.
What about exceeding the screening requirements in a substantive way?
Put extra screening in there? We
That's
can do that.
what I tried to say.
Yes, sir, we can do that. We can put extra landscaping in there.
I don't know how we define that at this juncture, frankly, but
I understand that.
I think the people out in the country deserve to be a little further from their neighbor than that. If you can't get there, I think you need to screen it where they can't see you.
Not a problem.
You think a buffer fence is the most practical way and integrated into
We can put a
greens?
fence along that portion.
I'm sorry?
We can put a fence along that portion with the landscaping too. It's not an,
All right, let's see what the rest of these ladies and gentlemen have to say. Any comments? Don, did you punch your button? Go ahead.
I would like to, my personal opinion, I would like to see the buffering, as you had mentioned, but I think 45 feet is too close, and we need to move it back.
You know, as I think through that, Don, that was my first thought, but a house at 75 feet is just as visible as a house at 45. If I were living there, I'd rather have jungle and a solid board fence than I had move it back another 15, 20, whatever you could get.
But I think
That's why I came to that conclusion.
for 6 houses, I think we could make some adjustments. We're not talking about moving the whole subdivision, we're just talking about 6 houses. That's just my opinion.
I got it. I thank you. Anyone else? Jack?
Well, and if they can't move it back, I think at minimum they ought to put the solid board fence in. They talked about, the neighbors talked about having a bull. If I was a kid, I'd be cannibalizing that bull.
I understand.
Yeah, you know, just,
I wouldn't have used that word.
yeah.
Anything else? Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts? Robin? Well, our strategy's changed over the years. We used to try mature buffing, now we try 2-inch trees because they outperform a 6-inch tree after 5 years. I mean, I was thinking a 6-inch solid board plank type fence. That's my thoughts. Anyone else? Come on, guys. We need to move on. Any thoughts? Where's the applicant? Did he disappear again? Come on back. Describe for me your proposal for the screening, please, as best you can.
It'll be a combination of evergreen shrubs, trees, what's required in your specifications. I'm not a landscape architect, so I'm not exactly sure
Well,
what would be. put in
What I
there.
don't want you to do, put all the green stuff on your side and a big fence on their side. You understand what I just said?
We can put the fence on the back of our lots and put the landscaping on the other side.
Right. That's going in the record. Are you volunteering to do that at
Yes,
this
sir.
juncture? 6-foot board fence,
Yes, sir.
your side.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts? Motion? Sammy?
So is that fence a homeowners association fence or individual property owner's fence?
I mean, that's up to them. I would think.
Base, then as part of the landscape buffer, it'd be the responsibility of the HOA, which would probably be the best,
I would recommend that.
so that it's maintained properly.
Okay. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Where was that? 21? Agenda item 22, non-residential site plan review for Hardeman Springs, non-traditional wastewater treatment disposal system on 162 acres located off of Murfreesboro Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting site plan approval for a proposed non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system in the Rural Development 1 zoning district. The proposed system will serve a residential subdivision that is planned for the property. The county zoning ordinance requires a site plan for a proposed non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system to be approved before a concept plan for the use the system will serve may be approved. Subject property totals 162 acres in size and is located on Highway 96 East, just east of the King's Chapel development. The property is relatively flat with rolling pastures, and a portion of the site are covered by natural resources, including streams and woodlands. Approximately 10% of the site is covered in tree canopy. The proposed system will utilize recirculating sand filter technology to treat wastewater generated by the proposed subdivision. The treatment system will be located in the northwestern portion of the site, 300 feet from the adjoining property, which meets the minimum setback requirement. A certificate of convenience and necessity has been approved by the Tennessee Regulatory Authority. A design development report and detailed soils investigation report were prepared by the applicant and submitted to the county. County's wastewater consultant has reviewed these reports and is recommending approval of the site plan. A conceptual layout of the proposed subdivision, which depicts 120 lots, has been included as sheet C-4.0 of the site plan packet. The conceptual layout is provided for illustrative purposes only and has not been reviewed for compliance with applicable regulations. It is staff's opinion that the combination of distance, topography, existing vegetation, and proposed vegetation will serve to adequately screen the treatment system from the adjacent properties. Site plan is in order and staff recommends approval. Prior to final plat submittal for the first section of the proposed subdivision, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. Number 1, a letter from TDEC indicating the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning. Number 2, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. Number 3, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system and is currently operating same. Number 4, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $165,000 for the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. And number 5, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $663,580 for landscaping improvements.
Thank you, sir. Questions of staff? Robin? Anything else? You're working on it? Anyone else have any thoughts? Don?
Just a question for staff. I understand the 300-foot for the adjoining property as far as the systems are concerned. Did we decide not to try to put these internally the way we had once talked about on these subdivisions rather than put them on the property lines?
We've had that discussion numerous occasions.
Mm-hmm.
How does the reg address that, Mike?
Well, in a couple of ways. One is that in order to get them away from the property lines, there is that 300-foot buffer. There's also a requirement that they submit cross-sections and do some pretty significant landscaping. And so I think that in this case, in each case, staff has concluded that the combination of the distance away from the property line, particularly structures on adjacent properties, and topography and either existing and proposed vegetation will make it to where you can't see the treatment system from surrounding properties.
But my question is, are we pushing or trying to get them internally? Because it seems that everyone that comes before us is 300 foot off the property line. So are we in some way trying to do this, or have we decided it's not possible?
I think that the 300 foot was established so that they wouldn't be adjacent to, and a lot of times they do meet that minimum requirement. Sometimes they're further, but the regulations simply call for 300 feet plus a demonstration that it won't be viewed from offsite.
Don, one of the things that, and I thought about this a long time ago, sewage treatment plant's going to be located at the downhill side on the edge of the property. And the reason is because that's where it drains to. And I think that's why you see what you see more frequently than not. What it means is if you put it up in the middle, probably there are 2 or 3 places you're going to have to pump it back to get to the treatment plant. And I think that's a design consideration, actually, that dictates it out there where you find it most frequently. And that's why we went with that 300 foot. I mean, a football field is a pretty good distance off, and additional screening was the solution that came out of that, and that's my recollection. Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead. Speak up. I can barely. It's not working. Just yell at me. Staff?
They have proposed 120 lots at this point. So that was the concept plan that's included as part of your submittal packet.
And that's the density of?
I beg your pardon?
The density?
I have not calculated. If you'll give me a second, I will calculate that for us.
That's 120 lots. It's purely speculative at this point. We have not seen a traffic study.
I understand that.
That is 0.74 dwelling units per acre.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? there a second? There a second? Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 23, preliminary plat. Preliminary plat review for the enclave at Dove Lake, Phase 2, containing 71 lots on 40 acres located off Nolensville Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am reading from a revised report that is placed on your desks in front of you. A concept plan for this development was approved at the July 2016 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for the second phase of the development, which consists of 71 lots and approximately 15 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the concept plan. The Tennessee Department of Transportation has approved the conceptual design for turn lane improvements to Nolensville Road. As was mentioned at the concept plan stage, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to locate sidewalks outside of the right-of-way and a design speed of 25 miles per hour for roadways within the subdivision. Staff is in support of these requests. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat. In conjunction with the final plat consideration, following items must be addressed. Number 1, prior to submittal of a final plat, turn lane improvements on Nolensville Road, which include both right and left turn lanes at the northern entrance and a right turn lane at the southern entrance, must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. Number 2, prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said system was installed and is functioning. B, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating same. D, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $271,500 for said system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. And E, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $34,155 for landscaping improvements. Number 3, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the final plat. 4, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. 5, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Nolensville College Grove Utility District. 6, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. 7, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. 8, dedication of right-of-way 60 feet off the center line of Nolensville Road. 9, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And 10, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. Anything else? Questions of staff? Robin? Not yet. Anyone? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote.
John.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you, Pete.
On the aerial photograph they have of this, looks like there's several tracts of land that have been isolated due to they can't get to Big Oak Lane anymore. Does this have any effect on how we look at this?
Aaron?
Pete, I just want to make sure you're referring to the small triangular piece that's at the end of Big Oak Lane on your aerial photography. Is that the one you're referring to? They will continue to have access to Big Oak Lane. After the subdivision is completed, they will continue to have access that way.
Did get it, Pete?
I just wondered.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 24 is on consent. Item 25, final plat review for Grace Creek Valley, large lot easement subdivision containing 5 lots on 73 acres located off of Sparkman Road in the 1st voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property in question is approximately 56 acres in size and is located off Sparkman Road, approximately 260 feet from Cards Creek Pike. The applicant is requesting approval of a large lot easement subdivision in order to create 5 lots off a 50-foot ingress-egress utilities easement. The topography of this site slopes steeply upward to the north, east, and west from the center of the site. The site is also heavily wooded, with approximately 70% of the property covered in tree canopy. All zoning ordinance requirements, including those regarding the protection of natural resources, have been met. The applicant is proposing individual septic systems for the lots, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management is reviewing the request. Approval is expected by meeting date. Water will be provided by the HB and TS Utility District, as no fire hydrants are proposed, and as none are currently located within 500 feet of the building envelopes. The building envelopes have been separated by 200 feet. The plat is in order, and pending approval by the Department of Sewage Disposal Management by meeting date, staff recommends approval subject to the following. 1, a notice of coverage issued by TDEC will be required prior to the signing of the plat. Number 2, a land disturbance permit must be obtained for the overall development. And number 3, driveway and drainage infrastructure must be complete prior to issuance of building permits. One additional item, the Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. If Pete left, it won't tally until he votes, because he's council.
Y'all can do on these things. I guess abstain, and then we'll mark it in the minutes that he
Once you abstain,
left.
lock it in, record it. Motion carries. We'll deal with Pete later. Item 26 is withdrawn. Item 27, establishment, come on, tongue. Establishment of a landscaping bond for Chevrolet Highway Mini Warehouse on 44.30 acres located off Chevrolet Highway in the 5th voting district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On April 27th, 2017, the Board of Zoning Appeals approved a special use permit for the operation of a self-service storage facility on the subject property, and a site plan for this use has been reviewed by staff. However, due to the cost of the required improvements and pursuant to Section 16.07 of the zoning ordinance, a landscaping bond must be established by the Planning Commission prior to final site plan approval by staff. Staff recommends the establishment of a performance bond for landscaping in the amount of $162,140.
Motion. Is there a second? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I'm going deaf, I think. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Pete back. He abstained again, Jack. Oh, thank you. Record it. Well, I have too, 3 times. You're still out. Thank you. Motion carries. I make a motion we get new batteries in these things because they're not working. Any other business? We will be adjourned. Thank you.